Hello. Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Hi. It's been a while. Things have continued to happen. Events have proceeded to move along. I haven't been able to get back here for a while. Sorry about that. But now is as good a time as any to catch folks up on what's been going on and what has been happening and where things are going to be going. Because things are going to be going someplace. Where was I? I have been in and out of the hospital a few more times. I'm struggling with pneumonia. My feet exploded. I didn't even know that could happen. So that's taken care of now. Lungs are clear, feet are unbandaged and doing much better than they have been for quite some time. I'm down to about 165 pounds, 75 kilograms, and struggling to maintain that weight. I had mushu pork for lunch and donuts for dinner, and we'll see if I can pack in some more calories before the end of the day. And other things have happened too. Specifically, a couple of months back, it's been a while, a couple of months back, my brother called me to tell me that my mom had to go to the hospital because they found her non-responsive. I caught up with her in the emergency room. It was not, she wasn't even conscious the first time I saw her. She was in the hospital for a little over 2 weeks. And they diagnosed her with, well, one thing that we realized between my brother and me, we both spent time with her. We both would go out and have breakfast or lunch and take some time to do stuff around the house, make sure she was okay. We'd only ever interacted with her during daylight. Visiting her in the hospital in the evenings, Anna had to work, so we got out here when we could. And she was not entirely with us. She was suffering from sundowner syndrome. And we began to realize that she had been suffering from some level of dementia for quite some time. Then we got the diagnosis for what had knocked her down. And, blood cancer. All the blood cancer. Several different kinds, all at once. And consulting with her doctors and her, while we could discuss things with her rationally, she wanted to go home. She just wanted to go home. So, because that is what a living trust is for, and what good sons do, my brother and I made sure did what we could to make sure, well, more my brother than I, but I was there with as much as I could do to help. We got her home in a hospice situation. We moved in a hospital bed, hired some folks to come and take care of her 24/7 because that's the level of help she needed. And under her doctor's supervision, began withholding her medications. She passed away after about 4 days of home hospice care. Ellen Ardell Corum was her own woman to the very end, and would not have had it any other way. She left on her own terms, and I cannot imagine a better way it could have gone. And she's interred with my father and her parents at Forest Lawn in Cypress. And I'm sure things seem sad in some ways because she's gone. And in other ways, she's back with my dad. And that's where they belong together. Because she had problems, well, both her and my dad had problems with dealing with the estate when my grandparents passed away. They made sure that there was going to be as little difficulty as possible. And that's what the living trust was for. And we've had plenty of discussions about things, and everything's amenable. My brother got the condo in the marina. Not in the best shape, probably going to get sold. And I got the house in Cerritos. Despite the fact that this is my virtual background you see behind me, I am still in my office in Torrance, but I am not going to be here for very much longer. Maybe another couple of months. We'll see how things go. We're going to be moving. Anna and Andrew and I. By the time I was Andrew's age, or the age Andrew is now, my dad was waking me up by asking me when I was leaving the house on a pretty regular basis. Actually, by this point in time, I was out. I see no need for Andrew to leave the house unless he chooses to do so. Hell, he's my support group. He does, between going to school and helping his mom with the apartments and taking care of me, he's got like 3 full-time jobs. And can't imagine a household without him. So we are following all our plans to get out there. First, we got to empty out that house. I spent years telling my mom, don't worry about it. Don't worry about stuff. You keep your stuff around you. Getting rid of that stuff's going to be my job. And I still stand by that statement. But damn. My parents had, over the course of my lifetime, 3 homes, one at a time, and another couple before that, before I came along, and a little bit of all of those, and a little bit of stuff from my grandparents, and my great-grandparents, all in that house. That house in Cerritos has been in my family. Pardon me, it's been in my family since the 1970s. And has bits and pieces of everyone who has been in it every step of the way. So now it falls to me to tastefully adapt it for living for the 3 of us while keeping what I can of the influences of the generations that come before. The house has seen 6 generations of my family. Hopefully it will see 7 one of these days. But that's a ways away. So between my health and hospitals and physical therapy and mental therapy and palliative care and trying to build my strength back up, dealing with the passing of my mom, and trying to work at getting that house ready for us to move into it, not to mention getting this apartment ready for us to move out of it. Things have been up in the air, wild and crazy. You don't think about stuff like this when you're writing your character for D&D. You don't think of all the times they had to change houses, or that character who is your grim, dark, practically born without parents, raised on the streets. You don't think of what logistics might have been involved in some of that. Well, I will be thinking about that from now on. There's a lot. And that leaves what I'm going to do here. I'm going to keep doing what I normally do. I have a certain amount of game content in my head trying to boil its way to the top. I'm taking what notes I can. Some of it's going to come out in the form of a novella or a novel at this point in time. I'm only I've hit just about novella length, and I'm only about halfway in. Might end up being a full novel. And a lot of what we're doing with the house, as you might imagine, because this is me, a lot of what we're doing with the house is food-based. It's got a good kitchen. It's got a very good kitchen. It's got a fireplace that needs to be brought back to life. I don't know what my parents had against fireplaces. Last few houses we've had, everything out here in California, the condo in the marina and the house in Cerritos, my parents have disabled the fireplace and left it just as decoration. I like fireplaces. I like a little place for open flame. And these days, as much as I've been following YouTube content about 17th and 18th century cooking and whatnot, I'm bringing the fireplace back to life. I'm going to make a proper hearth out of it and make it something I can do a little cooking in. Some coals around on top of a Dutch oven to bake a pie, Nothing super fancy, but a nice hearth that can do some cooking in the living room. The kitchen is perfectly fine. It could use a new refrigerator because the one that's in there is tiny, and we're thinking how we're going to put that in. That's going to be a chunk, but it's worth it. Need to put a couple of extra spigots in the sink, and maybe add a water freshener or a water purifier water filter. That's what I'm thinking about. And making a nice outdoor kitchen in the backyard. Something to grill, smoker. Technically, it's going to be a house with 3 kitchens. I've got some cookbooks I want to write. I've got a couple in my head already. And having plenty of resources for testing out recipes and trying them and filming it. Some food content might show up on this channel. Some full on, here's some recipes I made and here's how I made them, or here's a review of this food that I have brought over. If you'd be interested in that, tag me down below. Let me know what you think about recipes and food preparation done here on the channel. I'm going to be doing this stuff anyway, so I might as well put the content up, but interested to know what you would think. And I've got a lot of writing yet to do, a lot of games in my head, a lot of stories and scenarios that need to be fleshed out, talked out here, given a little life and a little presence, a little movement. So the virtual background is going to go away. I've already got space picked out for an office in the new house, and I am going to optimize it so that I can do this a little bit more easily, a little bit more freely, and hopefully at a higher quality. If any of you folks have experience with webcams or cameras or YouTube work, and have a recommendation or two for video equipment, audio equipment, cameras, microphones. I might take a swing at doing some of this stuff from scratch. And you've seen me experiment here with insufficient space and insufficient lighting and just trying to make do with what I've got. I'm going to be in a position to do what I need to instead of what I can get away with. So you drop me a note. I'd appreciate it. My mom's gone. And with that comes a certain amount of, well, there's always going to be regrets. Could I have gone out and seen her more? Maybe. Could I have noticed that there was a problem before I did? I don't think so. I wasn't the only one who missed it. Could I have talked her into taking medications or a course of action that would have prolonged her life? With the kind of cancer she had, again, multiple blood cancers, she would have gone through much, much worse than I did. There wouldn't have been much they could do with radiation, but they'd have done some serious chemotherapy and some experimental stuff, and it wouldn't have been something I would have wanted her to endure. The side effects and the ongoing after effects. She made her choice, and it's not my not my place to second guess that choice, but to let her have her peace. And now I can look back upon my life a little bit more dispassionately. I can look back upon her influence in who I am and what I've become, and watch how that has come through me into my son, into my marriage, into my family, and appreciate what you brought. And understand it wasn't all good, but understand that she did her best. Every step of the way, she did what she believed to be her very best. Never anything but. And I only hope that in the fullness of time, when that house falls to someone else in the family, probably Andrew, that they'll be able to say the same thing about me. Well, thank you for following me along in this particular personal ramble again. I gotta quit having these revelations and tragedies and hospital visits, mostly the hospital visit. I gotta go pick all new doctors. I gotta change my dialysis clinic. For those of you not in California or not familiar with the area, I'm currently in Torrance, which is just inland from Redondo Beach, Manhattan Beach, a little bit south of Los Angeles, in Los Angeles County, a little bit south of LAX. Saying south of Los Angeles is still talking about a really big area. Los Angeles is like 50 cities trying to find one place to call home. And Cerritos is at a good time of day, half an hour east on the freeway. Half an hour, 45 minutes. It's further inland. It's 10 degrees hotter universally. It used to be cow country. The house that I used to live in Cerritos back in the 70s used to be next to a dairy farm. I used to go visit the cows. And now it's all housing and residential, and the area has grown quite a bit and gotten older and kind of gentrified. But I'm also going to be in an area that is covered by a thin layer of really excellent restaurants, and trying them all for quite some time. It's not a huge move. It is just far enough that I'm not going to want to commute back here for all my doctors, and certainly can't do it for dialysis. I'm going to have a whole new clinic to go to, which is sad because I like my clinic, but well, it gives me an opportunity to find a new one that I'll like, hopefully just as much, not better. Life is complicated, but better than the alternative. Well, thank you very much for following me along on this particular ramble again. I'm going to try and make these happen on a more regular basis. Fingers crossed. I'm Scott Corum. This is what does matter to me. I'll see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum. And now over to Uncle Drac for the outro. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy this video, give it a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If there's any other topics you would like to hear Scott talk about, questions you'd like him to answer, subjects you'd like him to cover, please leave a comment down below. He will love getting your comment, and you will love leaving him one. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, why not? This channel is awesome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you do, you might also want to hit the little notification bell so you're alerted when these videos become available. If you would like to support this channel in a more substantial manner, we invite you to hit us up at the Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows us to create better content more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.